Staccato says it solved one problem that most shooters care about, and that's muzzle rise. And they solved it in two completely different ways. The P4X fights it with gas. The P4.5 fights it with steel. One mints a shorter slide and barrel, and one milled Thor's hammer right into the end of the barrel. Both promise you a flatter shooting gun. The range gets to answer whether or not a compact comp slide can perform just as well as a full size with a weighted barrel, giving you the advantage with a shorter platform. Or maybe it's just hype. Same grip, same steel frame, same trigger. Well, sorta. My P4.5, it's running around 3 from the factory, and the P4X is pretty consistently at 4. Besides total weight on the pull, there's something more interesting in the difference between these two. I'll get to that in a minute, but for now, I'll just say they're close enough. From the back, you can't really tell them apart. I mean, they're the same. The difference lives up front. The P4X runs a one-piece barrel with an integrated compensator, and the P4.5 runs a one-piece barrel with a solid block milled right into it. No ports, no gas, just mass and a longer sight radius doing the work. So we have two different philosophies here, same goal. Let's see which one actually wins. So before we move on, let's talk about a couple of important differences. The recoil spring on the P4.5 is softer and has the plastic buffer. The recoil spring on the P4X is heavier, does not have the plastic buffer. In fact, it's just a little heavier than the C4X. So I bought a C4X spring just to test it in the P4X to see if I could put a little bit lighter spring in the P4X. In over 700 rounds, that's the only failures I saw from the P4X, and that was failures to extract while using a brand new C4X/C36 spring. I put the P4X spring back in, another 500 rounds, not a single issue. And I haven't cleaned this P4X yet. All the shooting you've seen from both of these guns, well over 800 rounds to 1,000 rounds, and not a single, malfunction from either, minus that spring test on the P4X. So now let's get back to that trigger difference. The take-up on the P4.5 is just under 1.5. Now, it breaks just under 3, so that averages 1.5 to 3 respectively. But for the P4X, there's a difference, and it is a different story. The take-up weight is just under 3, and the break is consistently at 4. So I don't know if that's, purposely done or if that's like a factory variance. But what I can tell you is that it made a significant difference to me on the stage I was testing for this test and the 1,000, round review that I'm going to do for the P4X that's coming out soon. So stick around for that one. Now let's put these things through the new Gauntlet stage that I'm currently building and refining for future videos. 3 tests. Slow motion at 960 frames a second, a build drill at 7 yards, and a transition drill on the stage that I'm building. Same ammo, same day, same shooters. The only thing that changes is what's hanging out in front of the barrel. So I've got footage and I got numbers. So I'm going to show you both because the spec sheet and the range don't always agree. So let's start where the marketing lives, slow motion. Both guns are running Federal Champion 115 grain. Same load from the first session. What I'm watching is 2 things. How high the muzzle climbs and how fast it gets back on track to a usable sight picture. The P4X first. Then I'll do a comparison as closely timed as I can get of them, one above each other. So there it is. Watch the comp. The gas venting straight up and the muzzle barely lifts. This is active management. The gun is being held down by physics that you paid for. Or maybe you didn't. Flat and snaps back because there's almost nothing to recover from. The P4.5, no vent, no ports. You're just watching it mass move instead. The front end steel wants to stay. So the whole gun rides softer and more planted, but the muzzle does travel a little more before it settles. It's not fighting the rise, it's absorbing it. 2 different answers to the same question. Both of them seem to work. The question is, which one works faster? Slow motion may not be able to tell exactly, but a timer can. So let's put one on it. Build drill, 7 yards, 6 rounds, on the clock. Just a note, I ran out of 2,000 rounds of 115 after having a ton of fun trying to decide which one of these I like the best, and we'll get to that later. So I shot the Billy with 147 grain subs, because that's all I had left. 6 rounds, 1 target, 7 yards, as fast as I can keep acceptable hits. Now I'm not chasing the hero run here, I'm just not that good. I'm measuring average splits across 3 strings on the gun. The single strings can lie, but averages don't. So even a 3-string average, honestly, may not be enough, but it's a start. The P4X average was 1.65 with a 0.13 split, and the P4.5 average was 1.63 with a 0.13 split. Best split ripped out of the P4X at 0.11. So it's an 11 split on the P4X. Best on the P4.5 was a 13. Or I'm sorry, a 12. So, I mean, I know that's not much difference, but I did have one outside of the A zone on the P4X. And overall, the groups felt a little tighter on the P4X, but here's my honest read. The comp does what the comp is supposed to do. It gives you a flatter picture, it gives you a faster drive, and on a single target. But the P4.5's front end weight keeps it planted enough the gap's a little smaller than the marketing might have you believe. The number did move. Now let's see if it can survive contact with targets on the Gauntlet. Adding longer range, transitions, and movement, well, that changes things. 1 stage, 7 events to see how the guns really feel. I'm not measuring time on this range that I completely made up for the Gauntlet here. I'm just trying to get a feel for how fast the gun re-indexes after running each event. I think it's much better than just standing here in one spot banging off rounds. I've gotten pretty bored doing that lately. That's why I built this stage. The comp on the P4X fights vertically. It does nothing for horizontal swing. The 4.5's en masse cuts both ways. More weight means it's a hair closer to start the swing and slower to stop. But once it's there, it's dead stable. So the question isn't just what's flatter, but which gun is waiting for you when the time arrives to pull that trigger. Honestly, it felt like the P4.5 handled just a little bit better, and I was able to do follow-up shots a little bit better at distance and under movement. And I'm sure the trigger had a little bit to do with that too. The take-up being what it is, and the break on that gun is just plain better than on the P4.5. And it was definitely noticeable to me on the the P4X. What the footage shows, it seems, is I was faster and more comfortable with the P4.5. And I should be. I got almost 6,000 rounds through it. I mean, those aren't Ben Stoker numbers, but I'm not Ben, neither are you. I just want to see how this thing does, and how these high-end platforms perform, for a knuckle-dragging old paratrooper like myself, and maybe like a lot of you, honestly, what we're really actually capable of. 3 tests: muzzle flip, speed, moving kinetic, range, feel, footage, and numbers on both. Let's talk about what that actually means. Gas or steel? Here's the honest answer. The P4X comp, it's not marketing. In slow motion, it's visibly flatter. In a single target, it drove faster splits. If your world is one target, close up, fast, comp earns its keep. But what it costs you, and your buddy, especially in indoors, is the comp blast. Most can live with that. But the P4.5, it solves the same problem with no ports or a comp. And it's got a little bit longer sight radius and makes it a little bit more precision at distance. It's not fighting the recoil, it's outweighing it. It rides soft and planted on transitions, and that front end mass was not significantly noticeable to me versus the comp. What you pay for is a slightly heavier gun that's a touch slower to whip between targets. But here's how I'd frame it. If you want the flattest possible gun, single target, and you don't mind the comp's downsides, P4X is the answer. They're not the same gun with a different barrel. They're 2 different arguments about how a pistol should shoot. Pick your argument that you agree with, and you've picked your gun. I have a few links in the description to gear I trust and one affiliate agreement with the folks over there at Quick Strike. I actually use that fast access lockable storage every day, so I wouldn't put you on something that I thought was junk. Don't use the code in the description to get 20% off of that either. The affiliate links don't cost you anything if you use them, and it costs you nothing extra. But by doing so, you do help support the channel, and I appreciate it very much, because every little bit helps. So if you like this content, please go ahead and hit that subscribe. If you didn't, go ahead and hit that subscribe anyway. You'll be glad you did. And in the meantime, y'all stay safe, y'all stay frosty, and we will catch you in the next one. Grumpy out.